Alright everyone, it's Dokkan time again, and today we're going to be going through two EZA how to builds. One for the Super Saiyan 2 transforming into Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then we will go over the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transforms into Majin Vegeta. We're going to go over Super Saiyan 2/3 Goku first. His role tips and his build suggestions are on the right side of the screen. I will go over them after we have gone over his kit and his defense, and the same will be done for Vegeta. Right off the bat, though, I will say that Vegeta is easier and better than Goku, but you can get Goku up to a similar level of play as Vegeta, so long as you rock him on a correctly built team. Vegeta is just more easily thrown onto a more powerful team right now, and that's why he has the illusion of just being straight outright better than Goku, whereas Goku can hit the same level, technically speaking. He just needs a little bit of extra push, unfortunately. So let's go over his kit, and we'll start off with his leaders. So as far as his 200% leaders go, he's got two of my favorite ones on here, Master Roshi and Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku. Both most excellent units as leaders, in my personal opinion. And then he has also INT Fat Boo, and then the second coming LR Gohan. Personally, I don't really like that Gohan as a leader. I feel like he's better off only having one on the team, but to each their own. I will say, this is technically in the past, depending on when you're watching this, but during the 10th anniversary, we should get an EZA for the for the 7th anniversary gods right here, and this will be probably a very good team option to be running as a leader moving forward in the future. And I do feel like this unit being on that team is a good thing. Otherwise, honestly, I'm going to be rocking him on a Master Roshi team. I'll explain why later. Or on the Super Saiyan 3 Goku team. Those are his two ideal teams in my personal opinion. So, let's go down here. He's Otherworld Warrior Super Saiyan 3 170 leader. Unfortunately, they didn't really buff that. I wish it was 180. 180 would have been great. In his Super Saiyan 2 form, he does raise attack and defense on 12 key. I mean, he only has 12 keys. He's a true UR. Key +2 attack and defense 150, 50% chance to dodge. He gets an additional defense boost up to 120 based on how much HP you have. And then you also have an additional 20% chance to dodge if your HP is above 50%. So that means he has a 70% chance to dodge as long as your HP is above 50%. If it falls below 50, then you're only at 50% chance to dodge. He also gets an additional attack boost up to 120 if based on how low your HP is, and he gets an extra 20% crit rate also when your HP is below 50%. So as you can see, they're kind of balancing it off on, like, he has a high defensibility with dodge versus on low HP, he's just doing more damage. So he also randomly changes key spheres to rainbow key spheres if there's another Majin Buu Saga ally on the turn. And then he gets a chance to perform a critical hit plus 50% with a rainbow key sphere obtained, and then attack and defense 120% when attacking with 3 or more key spheres obtained. They made his transformation condition much easier. Same thing with Vegeta, by the way. Transforms when facing one enemy whose HP is 50% or more starting from the third turn. So basically his second appearance. Or in this case, wait, would it be? Yeah, so it would be the third turn no matter what. So him, if he was on the 7th slot, he would start on turn 3 right away. He would automatically transform into Super Saiyan 3. In his Super Saiyan 2 state, he does have different links than his Super Saiyan 3. So he has Saiyan Warrior, his Super Saiyan Golden Warrior, blah, 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 blah. The only major difference link here that is different from a majority of other Gokus is the Supreme Power link. This key link isn't really actively used too much. Honestly, I don't even remember what the penetration portion of a link actually does. I'm pretty sure that was only active for a very specific Dokkan fight boss against like a Broly. So it's very weird that they haven't changed that as of this point. He is on a very good amount of categories, but he only has a very select few of 200%. Link partners, we'll discuss that later. Obviously, in his Super Saiyan 2 state, he's primarily going to link well with a lot of Super Saiyans because of Prepared for Battle and Super Saiyan links. And he will link well with other Super Saiyan 2 Gokus and Super Saiyan 3 Gokus as well. So, Let's go over his Super Saiyan 3 state now. So in his Super Saiyan 3 state, he has greatly raised attack and defense for 1 turn, and a 70% chance to stun. Really nice having that utility. He has 50% chance to dodge, Ki +3 attack and defense 200. He gets an additional defense boost up to 150 instead of 120 with, depending on how high your HP is. And he actually has a 30% chance to dodge as long as you're above 50% HP. So he actually has 80% chance to dodge so long as your HP is above 50%. But if you fall below 50, he's only got a 50% chance to dodge. He randomly changes Ki Spheres to Rainbow Ki Sphere still with a Majin Buu Saga ally. His attack goes up based on how low your HP goes, up to 150%, and he gets an extra 30% chance to crit if your HP is below 50. He also has a chance to perform a critical hit plus 70% with a Rainbow Ki Sphere obtained. So pretty much no matter what, this guy's gonna crit. If he doesn't crit, you got some pretty bad RNG. Attack and defense 133 with 3 or more Ki Spheres attained, and he launches an additional super attack, and all attacks become critical hits with 6 or more Ki Spheres obtained. Give him 6 Ki Spheres and he's auto-critting, but he still has all this other... It's so weird. He has so much crit, it's actually unnecessary. So because he goes into Super Saiyan 3, he loses a couple links, and now he has Over in the Flash and Limit Breaking form. So obviously he's going to link better with other Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. Those are going to be his primary, easiest partner. Otherwise, honestly, the Majin Vegeta is a good option because they both have Over in the Flash and Supreme Power and Super Saiyan. So Majin Vegeta himself would actually be a very good link partner for this Goku as well. So let's kind of go ahead and go look at the defense numbers for this Goku. So we're going to go over 2 of his calculations. We're going to go over defense and damage. Compliments of Halvard for this set of defense numbers in his Super Saiyan 2 state. As you can see, it's a little wonky here and there, but with 3 or more Ki Spheres attained at full HP with 40% support, he can hit up to around 1.1 million defense. As you can see, he can definitely tank normals, but he's probably still a dodge or die kind of character. Well, when he does transform into Super Saiyan 3, at full HP with 6 Ki Spheres obtained, 40% support, if he magically triple supers, he can hit up to 2.2 million defense. I will tell you guys that more than likely you are not going to triple super with this guy because you don't need to be building him full additional. Yes, you can build him full additional if you so choose. When it comes to a unit that's main defensive mechanic is dodge, I personally feel you need to lean into the dodge more because unlike raw defense, you cannot rely on dodge. Dodge is a chance. It's literally a chance. And if you fall below 50% HP, that literal coin flip of a chance really could just screw your day over. So it can be very dangerous to run him like that, especially in some of these harder fights in the game now when normals are doing over 1 million, especially post-super, and multiple supers are going off. So it is something to be a little bit aware of. I would say on average, Rainbowed on an ideal team, his defense will only be about 1.5 million. It's gonna fluctuate aggressively. His HP and his damage and defense is gonna fluctuate constantly up and down based on your HP, based on your support, based on your leader, based on your links. It's all going to fluctuate constantly. I couldn't tell you an accurate level. I can tell you his lowest damage ratio is going to be around the 15 million point, and his highest damage ratio could almost hit up into the 25 millions, depending on the unit and leader and skills that you're running him with. So it's really kind of a juggling moment here with him. Let's go ahead and take a look now over at Luke's calculations for damage and defense. So, turn 2 before going into Super Saiyan 3, while linked up with AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, his defense is more around the range on a double super of 800k, and he's doing like 10 damage. But once you transform into Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you know, as long as your HP is like 70% HP roughly or higher, you can get his normal super up to like 20 million damage, and then an additional at a little bit of higher of 20 million, and his defense can be around the 1 mil to 1.5 mil. This is with a TEQ UI domain. This is along with support. This is along with a perfect linking partner. I think this is a very good looking amount, a very accurate level of attack and defense. So do keep that in mind. So I will tell you that once again, you can buff this up a little bit. You can put Goku onto a Master Roshi team. You can pop Master Roshi's active. You can have Bulma support with TEQ UI domain, all on Master Roshi's team. And that can definitely really scale up Goku's damage ratio. What it can't do is it can't really improve his damage too much. It's a weird thing with Roshi, because Roshi, when you use his active skill, it heals you. But the lower the HP, the more damage this Goku can do. So, but even with that, you can still do a very good, decent amount of defense and damage. So, that's Super Saiyan 3 Goku's damage and defense calculations. With that all being said, let's kind of go over his builds, and then we'll go over his roll tips. So for his 55%, I would just suggest going full into dodge. I said it during everything else. He's a dodge or die unit. He's a dodge or die unit. At 55% especially, you need to be very wary that you will die on a one touch pretty much. You can expect those defense calculations to be dropped by a good 200 to 300k defense, so you do need to be very wary. I would suggest full dodge for a 55% build. And moving on to dupes. With dupes, I would still suggest going into dodge. But I will tell you, this is a suggestion. You definitely can lean more into additional. There's nothing wrong with leaning into additional. I will tell y'all, I have my Goku here. Hold on. I have my Goku sitting at a higher... I have my Goku sitting at a higher additional point. And that's mostly because I don't want to change out his hidden potential nodes, because I've had him rainbowed for a long while. But I'm comfortable with this. This feels comfy to me personally, and I don't see why you couldn't enjoy it either. But yeah, I went for multiple orbs to really buff his additional and his dodge. So, but anyways, so with that being said on his builds, let's just move on to his roll tips. So, I don't feel like this Goku is a damage dealer. I don't feel like he's a tank, and he's not a support. So I had to make up a whole new little emblem up right here in the middle, because I don't think that this Goku is good at any one thing. He's just kind of good at a majority of different things. He can just be kind of a good all-rounder, I guess is what I'm saying. As far as his leader choices, 200% options, I would suggest Super Saiyan 3 AGL Goku and then Master Roshi. And if you really want to rock him on Gohan's team, go for it. They do link pretty well together. But remember, Gohan's links change when he goes into standby mode. And depending on when you go into that standby mode, his links will differ from Goku's a little bit. But as far as his best partners go, no matter what, regardless of his links, you know, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, Super Saiyan 3 Gokus, that's what you're really looking out for as far as a link partner goes with him, if you're going to keep him on rotation. That kind of brings me down to his best slot position, which is slot 3. I don't think he's a unit that's meant to stay on rotation. He's a dodge or die unit that can do a little bit of damage at full HP, and he's only really doing damage if you're low on HP. So I just really feel like if you want to use this Goku, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. He's an good all-arounder unit, but he is a dodge or die unit. So I do suggest just floating him off if you need to. There are better rotations that you could be rocking on all three of these teams and all other teams really, that you could be rocking. You really could. Not to say that you can't rock AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku in slot 1 and then put this INT Super Saiyan 3 Goku in slot 2. You can definitely do that. That is 100% a good option. But overall, if you're not rocking him with this Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or if, let's say that this Super Saiyan 3 Goku's damage reduction wears down later into a fight, then maybe he's not the best slot 1 option, and then at that point, you probably would either go for a dodge or die route for him in slot 1, which is really dodge or die, or you just straight up float him. So, I did throw TEQ UI onto his partner. The only reason I decided to do that is because of TEQ UI's domain. TEQ UI's domain is so critical when it comes down to some units, and I do feel like his domain is almost needed for him. It's almost needed. It's not needed, but it can definitely help quite a bit. So I did decide to put him onto that. So, with that all being said about Goku, let's move on to Vegeta. All right, so we're gonna move on to the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta / Majin Vegeta. Same thing as I said with Goku, I'm going to have his roles over here on the right side of the screen, just kind of scrolling through, and then we'll go over his roles and his builds over there. Now, I will say that they are built very similarly as far as wording-wise, but what they actually do are very different, and Vegeta has arguably more or better or worse options. He's kind of funky, I'm not going to lie. So, let's just kind of get into Vegeta. So, Vegeta has some interesting issues in that he is both a super unit and an extreme unit because of the Majin Vegeta state. His best team is 100% going to be Broly's. Broly is his best team, or it would be on the Super Saiyan transforming Vegeta's team. Those would actually be his two best team options in my personal opinion as far as links and support go. But otherwise, INT Fat Buu is an option as a 200% leader. You could go with Scouter Vegeta, you know, anything to help out Scouter Vegeta really, but they don't even really link that well. And the team synergy would be very low. So, let's kind of go down to his kit. He is a Super Saiyan 2 and Resurrected Warrior 170. He raises attack and defense on Super. And once again, he's going to be very similar to Goku. So, Ki +2, 150, same thing as Goku. Reduces damage received by 30%. So now as you can see, Vegeta's getting damage reduction rather than Goku, who had dodge. And he gets an additional attack boost by up to 120 the greater your HP is. And if HP is 50% or more, Vegeta is getting an additional super attack, just straight up free additional super. He gets an additional defense boost by up to 120, the less HP that's remaining. And if your HP is 50% or less, he guards all attacks. He also randomly changes a Ki Sphere to Rainbow Ki Sphere when there's another Majin Buu Saga ally. And he gets an additional damage reduction of 20% with Rainbow Ki Sphere obtained. So that's 50% damage reduction. Attack and defense 120 with 3 or more Ki Spheres obtained, and receives Babidi's sorcery boost when conditions are met, which is the exact same thing as Goku's now, where you only have to be facing one enemy whose HP is 50% or more, starting from the third turn from the start of battle. So turn 3, as long as the boss is at 50% or more HP, he'll transform into Majin Vegeta. His links are Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Pride, Royal Lineage, and Prepared for Battle, and Supreme Power. The Supreme Power is the only one that's kind of weird and outside of the norm there. He will only really have that going off with either himself or like Gotenks or the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. As you can see, starting off, and even when they transform, these two basically link very well together. There's no reason not to run them as a rotation, really. The problem with, personally for me, is that I don't feel that Goku, or not Goku, but Vegeta is actually a slot 1 unit, and I'll explain why once we go over his Majin Vegeta state right now. So, on turn 3, HP 50% or more on the boss, he can transform into Majin Vegeta. Once he does that, he greatly raises attack and defense. 70% chance to dodge. Stop me if you've heard this before. Ki +3 attack and defense 200 reduces damage received by 33%. More 150% attack boost depending on how much HP is remaining. And then if your HP is above 50% or more, he launches an additional super still. If plus an additional defense boost of 150 based on how low your HP is. And if your HP is below 50%, he guards all attacks. Randomly changes Ki Spheres to Rainbow with a Majin Buu Saga ally. Additional damage reduction of 33% with Rainbow Ki Sphere obtained. Attack and defense 133 when attacking, and attacks effective against all types with 3 or more Ki Spheres. And attack and defense 66% when attacking, and guards all attacks with 6 or more Ki Spheres obtained. The only thing that really changes on Vegeta's links, unlike Goku's, is he gets over in the flash. Otherwise, I think his links stay the same. But when he transforms, he basically is just really linking well with, once again, himself and other Majin Vegetas, and then Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. At that point, his link partners are actually pretty... they're kind of back and forth, so... But... with that all being said, let's go over his defense and attack numbers. Alright, so defense calculations, compliments of Harvard. So, in his Super Saiyan 2 state, when you're low on HP, with 3 or more Ki Spheres attained, and with 40% support, you can get up to around 1.1 million defense. As you can see, his defense isn't crazy. His start of turn defense is only 300k. And this is on a low HP basis here. So I really cannot emphasize enough that in Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 state, he is very much kind of a liability. Though the good news is that he does have 50% damage reduction. I would say the worst thing you have to worry about is literally him getting super attack before he can transform into Majin Vegeta. I do feel like Majin Vegeta is very weak starting off, unlike Goku, who has at least his 70% dodge chance to lean on, whereas Vegeta doesn't really have as much raw defense as Goku would. So, with that being said, let's move on to his Majin Vegeta state, where we get much different numbers. So, at full HP... you know, he can, with the double super, he can get up to only 579k defense. And at low HP, with the double super, he can get up to 700k. But with 6 or more Ki Spheres obtained, he can get up to 1.5 million defense. Double super 2 mil, with 40% support, 2.2 million damage. So, he has a higher defense when he has lower HP. But the fact remains is that he has so much damage reduction, and he has guard as long as you have 6 Ki Spheres. Guard and damage reduction has proven time and time throughout this entire year of 2024 that a Dokkan unit with built-in high damage reduction and guard is like, I'm not going to say they're unkillable, but it dang near makes them feel unkillable. And the lower your HP gets, I mean, Vegeta just feels better. So, I will say that. But let's now go over and look at his other calculations, compliments of Luke. So, in this case, on turn 1, you know, you're on a Broly team, 100% HP, 2 Rainbow Ki Spheres obtained. You know, you're looking pretty low defense numbers. But remember, 50% damage reduction and then potentially guard in his base state if you hit below 50% HP. You know, 50% damage reduction basically means on a double super, he can tank 1.4 million super. And his damage is about 15 to 16 mil. That seems low, and it is kind of low. But once again, just like Goku, he's kind of weaker at that point. But once he transforms into Majin Vegeta, 100% HP, double INT Broly support, which is kind of not always going to happen. But if it does happen, it's pretty crazy. His damage scales upward up to 24 million, 25, 27 on a triple. And his defense is around the 1.2, 1.6 to 2 million defense. And once again, 50% plus damage reduction. It's actually 66% damage reduction. Or 60% damage reduction. It's a high amount of damage reduction and guard with Majin Vegeta. You know, 2 million defense, even 1.5. That's guaranteed he's tanking a 3 mil super. Guaranteed. I would say he can tank even up to 4. But yeah, turn 5, 100% HP, 1 Int Broly support, Tech Buhan support, Int Broly domain. This dude can get up into the 30 million, 32, 34 million damage numbers, 1.5 to 2.5 million defense. Vegeta is also a unit that can scale pretty high and then scale pretty low based on the support that he has, and I would say he's just safer than Goku. And the one thing I have felt that this guy is missing with how high his damage can get to is that he's missing crit. You know, attacks effective against all types is great, but it's not the same as crit, and crit pierces. You know, we have too many fights in this game where we have to worry about breaking through defenses and damage reduction, and the crit can overlap and go over that, and it has a higher damage multiplier. So personally, I feel Vegeta needs crit and additional. I think he's so tanky that it's irrelevant that to give him dodge. It's irrelevant. I think you're wasting the unit's damage potential and use, not giving him crit personally. By all means, you can treat Vegeta as straight up just a tank. You can do that. That's 100% up to you and totally fine. You can give him full additional and put the rest in dodge. That's completely fine. That is warranted. But personally, I feel he wants some damage. He wants to do some damage. But yeah. So let's kind of go over his builds, and then we'll go over his roll tips. All right, so we're gonna go over his builds now. We'll start off with this 55%, which I would suggest either going with level 5 additional and put in a defense orb, or I would suggest just go ahead and giving him more crit. It's one of the two. You either give him crit or you give him an additional to hopefully get another defense stack. But no matter what, I feel like even at 55%, you really just want to give him a defense orb and try to work with that the best you can. Remember, at the end of the day, Vegeta can feel more better as a tank, especially at 55%, but not so much into the damage. So you're trading off damage for a little bit more defense at 55%. I would honestly, if it was me at a 55% build, I'd just give him a level 5 additional and put in the defense orb. Because at 55%, his damage is going to be so much lower. His defense is going to be so much lower, and I really would rather just give the 10% chance to additional and hope for the best. That's what I would personally do. But it's entirely up to you. As far as his actual other builds go, it's either you go into additional or you go into crit. It's one of the two. You either give you prioritize crit or you prioritize additional. My only raw suggestion for his build is that you always give him a defensive bronze, and then you just kind of pick and choose how you feel. He needs more additional for more defensibility, or you give him more crit to actually do some damage with those higher scaling damage numbers. So as you can see, the way I have it is I went a little bit more into the crit, but I did give him a level 15 additional naturally. Also keep in mind, as I suggest with all of my build suggestions, I always suggest that you go ahead and put on an infinite equip, test out how you feel about the unit, and see if, hey, maybe I do want some more crit. I'm going to test out this level 5 infinite equip and see how it feels of him getting crits. You know, I can change this out at any time to additional if I so choose, so long as I pick an orb that actually is re-equipable, which is infinitely equipable no matter what, as long as it has that infinite equip on it. So that is what I would suggest you do. Moving on to his roll tips. So his roll tips are a little bit more sporadic. They're all over the place. His best options are 100% going to be Broly, and they're going to be Vegeta. Goku, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, is a 170, and Fat Boo is a 200. I do say he will fit well enough on the Super Saiyan 3 Goku's team, but he's only going to be 170, so you do got to keep in mind of how much lower his stats are going to be overall. As far as his partners go, Over in the Flash units, basically right here, himself, Majin Vegeta, Super Saiyan 3 Gokus, and the INT Gotenks. And then, of course, he links very well with the transforming Super Saiyan Vegeta. I did throw Broly and Kid Buu over here because their support level kind of makes up for the lack of links that he would have with these other units. And that's why I threw them onto there, because both of these units could be units you could be chucking onto the INT Broly team for uncontrollable power. I think it's very likely that you could be running a turn rotation where you just have Brolys and then Vegeta or Kid Buu even floating. So I did throw those into there just because of INT Broly's team as of right now at the time of recording. As far as his best slot position goes, I 100% believe that his best slot position is going to be in slot 2. Although he does have damage reduction, he has a high damage reduction, he has guard, he gets majority, if not almost all of his defense straight up when he super attacks. Until he super attacks, he's not getting anything. Your damage reduction and your guard don't mean a darn thing unless you have the defense behind it. So, yes, he can go into slot 1. He can 100% go into slot 1 in certain parts of the fight. But if you hit like Go Frieza, STR Go Frieza fight, he needs to go into slot 2. He cannot tank that 3 million super before he himself super attacks. He needs to super first. So, anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Appreciate y'all for watching. Please do let me know how you decided to build Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And I hope you have a good day and a good night.